Hey Jackals, I'm Simon and today we'll take a look at MVP, or most valuable point, which is the pivot point. Now I did want to do something else today, but my main monitor decided to give out and my second one isn't much better, but at least it works. So until I get a new monitor, the quality will be different. Now let's take a look at the MVP and let's get digital. Now what the pivot point does is it changes the center position to anywhere that you want to place it. So in this example, I'll take rectangle. Now as you can see, if I display this rectangle node, it has a center position that we can adjust. But we can't move this center position as a pivot point, which plays a role when you adjust the angle. So how do you get a pivot point? Well, the most basic one is in the transfer node. So I'll connect the rectangle to the transfer node, but it has to be connected to the yellow input. And the transfer node, as you can see, has a cross section, and this is the pivot point, which we can now move. Nothing changes. Nothing also changes if I use the center position. But if I use the angle, you can now see how the rectangle behaves. And it behaves differently if I position it to this corner. And just for comparison, if I go back to the rectangle and adjust the angle, you can see that it moves from the center. Now you can make some cool animations with the pivot points. I'll just scale this rectangle down to 0.1 and 0.1. I'll also change the color of it. And just by adding the background, we get rid of the black background and we can change the color. And I'll just copy this, paste it, make this rectangle smaller, so maybe 0.3. Now I could move it in the center position, but I can just use the transfer node to do that. But in this case I have to reset the pivot point and I can't see anything here because I would actually have to display this node. And to see both nodes at the same time, simply connect them and now we can see them. I'll change the color of this one so that we can differentiate between the two. Maybe I'll connect them like this. Now what I can do is put a line between these two nodes or objects. And what I'll do is simply animate this one to go like up and down, left, right, doesn't matter. But the line will be connected from this point, which will be the pivot point, and not from the center. Now what we need to do is in this transfer node, which is this, we can also rename it. So this will be maybe glove, and this can be arm. And what I'll also do is just adjust the current radius, maybe like this. And I could position this one back, and to put it in front, I'll just select the merge node, Ctrl T, to put the glove in front of the arm. Now I want to adjust the pivot point. I don't want it to be here, but I'll just leave it for now. And I want to use this pivot point, so I'll right click on it and select publish. And in the glove, I'll simply use the center point. Now I could adjust the pivot point, like so, but in this case, I'll be animating the center position. So I want to publish the center position. Now we want to connect these two shapes with the line. For that we'll use a polygon and we'll animate it automatically so that the line changes when we position the glove. So it will connect like this, and it will do that automatically based on the position of the shapes. So with the polygon selected, simply make 2 points. You could make more points if you wanted to. Select all of the points of the polygon, Shift A is the shortcut, right click, go to the last one, in this case it's the polygon 1, polyline, publish and select points. Now you should get all of the points. In my case I have 2 points. Simply click on the first one, go to connect to, and if you change the name, this will give you the first point, which is the arm and the pivot point, which in this case it's somewhere down here, and right click on the second point and connect it to the glove center position. Now we also have to use a background, so we can change the color and then we'll connect it like so, and we can display it. Now if I adjust the glove, we don't see anything, and that is because the polygon doesn't have any width. So if I adjust it, you can now see it, and in the background we can simply change the color to anything that we want. Now because the pivot point was set to down here, it's connected from this point to the glove. So all I have to do in the arm is to adjust the pivot point to be somewhere about here. Now as you can see, the polygon is above these two shapes. A simple fix is to select this merge node, Ctrl T, to switch the inputs. And let's just see how the line behaves. As you can see, it's a little bit over this edge. So what you can do is go to the polygon and just change the caps. I think it's this one, so this disappears. Now we can make an animation. How can we make it when this is already keyframed? Well, you have to go to the modifiers, keyframe the value. It made a keyframe, as you can see. Now I'll go a few frames forward, position this, and position this back. Now we have a simple animation that we can also adjust in the spline with the node selected. In this case, it's the glove, displacement, zoom to fit, and we can adjust the animation to what we want. And you can also adjust the keyframes if you want to move them, just like this. So we make a snappier animation. Now in my case, the naming of arm and the glove doesn't make much sense unless you like League of Legends, Blitzcrank. So what this could be is a frog, its tongue, and this could be the fly. But you would have to hide this shape, so only the tongue would come out. We could also use the merge, so blend, just like that. In this case, you would adjust the rectangle, or actually adjust the line, so it has a soft cap. And then you could go back to the merge. So here it's 1, keyframe it, and this is 0. So now all you would have to do is make a copy of this shape so that it's always here, that represents a fly, and then simply disable it, just like I've done in the merge node by lowering the blend to 0, and you would have the animation of the fly getting eaten. And maybe change the color so it's a little bit blackish. And now the second useful pivot point is not with the ellipse, but I'll use the ellipse. It's with the duplicate node. So the duplicate node also has a pivot point. So in the duplicate node, you also have the pivot point, which affects the center position, the size, and also the angle, depending on the combination that you use. So what you could do, I'll just use 2 copies, put the pivot point here. Now ideally, we would use a different ellipse with a different color, but I'll just use a duplicate and lower the blend. And what we can do is animate the angle. So we can go from 0 to whatever angle you want. And you can also increase the number of copies, but in this case I suggest you increase the blend so that you can see all of the copies. And that's it. If you found the video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel to get DaVinci Resolve and video editing content twice a week, and hit the bell notification icon so you know when my next video comes out. By the way, that's Tuesday and Friday. I'm Simon. Until next time, jackals, keep it digital.